that the Toronto Maple Leafs once again lose a Game 7. Oh, dude, if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, I mean, I can't even feel sorry for you at this moment. I really can't. I'm sorry. But, I mean, 7 straight Game 7s? Really? 7 straight Game 7s you guys lose. Once again, the Toronto Maple Leafs fail to reach the Eastern Conference Final. I mean, this is the worst thing to happen to any franchise. And you know what? I was listening to Mike Valente with Rico yesterday right here in Detroit, Michigan. Shout out to those guys. They do amazing work. Gotta love what they do. But they asked a very good question about this situation. So the Toronto Maple Leafs lose to the Florida Panthers, the defending Stanley Cup champions, Game 7, second round of the playoffs, 7 straight Game 7s the Maple Leafs have lost. And the question was that they brought up on the show was, would you rather have your team just miss the playoffs or continue to lose Game 7s like the Toronto Maple Leafs do? And I think with the exception of Rico, everyone else said, I would just have my team suck and not make it to the playoffs, like the Detroit Red Wings have for the past 9 seasons. But, dude, Toronto Maple Leafs fans, oh, God. I mean, how does this happen? How does this continue to happen to this franchise? A franchise who has not won a Stanley Cup since 1967. Almost 60 years. 58 years. The last time the Toronto Maple Leafs have won a Stanley Cup. And get this. The last time the Toronto Maple Leafs made it to the conference finals, listen to this one. 2002. I was 5 years old at that time. I'm 28 now. And just to give you a reminder of how long that's been, 23 years if you do the math, if you're a math whiz. But here's all the things that happened. Here's all the pop culture things that were going on in 2002, the last time the Maple Leafs went to the conference finals. Listen to this one. So 2002, last time Toronto made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Good movie. It came out in theaters. The top song. You guys love this band. They were around for basically all the 2000s. They were on every single radio show. We loved them, right? The top song was How You Remind Me by Nickelback. That was the top song. So you have that. Serena Williams beats her sister Venus to win her first Wimbledon title. Her first out of so many. You have that going on. The Brady Tuck Rule game occurred that same year. Playoff game, snowy night, New England Patriots, Oakland Raiders at the time. We all remember that game, right? That happened that year. Sidney Crosby, he's 37 today. Back in 2002, he was only 14. 14 years old, Sidney Crosby, one of the greatest hockey players of all time. Kelly Clarkson won the first American Idol back in 2002. Tiger Woods just got done winning his second straight Masters tournament. Yao Ming. Yao Ming was the number 1 draft pick in the NBA draft that year. That was the last time the Toronto Maple Leafs went to the Eastern Conference Final. Since then, they've lost 7 straight Game 7s, right? And then this is the 9th straight playoff defeat without reaching the conference final. So if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, what the hell do you do? Mitch Marner is an unrestricted free agent July 1st. If I'm the Red Wings, come on to Detroit. Cross the border. We'll take you. We have to. And then if we have to give up so many players, so be it. We got to keep Lucas Raymond. We got to keep DeBrincat. And we got to keep Marco Casper. My opinion. Everyone else you can get rid of. Larkin, bye-bye. See ya. But do you bring Mitch Marner to Detroit knowing that he's going to be an unrestricted free agent in a month and a half? I think it's a good play. Crap. The Detroit Red Wings need to do something because Steve Yzerman, for 6 years, going on 7 years now, he hasn't done anything. And I love Steve Yzerman. He's a Detroit sports icon. He's a Red Wings legend. He's all about grit. But he's got to do something. This is an opportunity to get the Red Wings back to where they need to be. But yeah, Mitch Marner, He's done with the Toronto Maple Leafs experiment with him. It just didn't work out. It was horrible. You know, his performance in Game 7 was god-awful. I mean, how do you lose on home ice knowing that it's Game 7? Game 7! Yeah, it's like the Maple Leafs' Achilles heel. They can't win a Game 7. A damn Game 7. On home ice, you lose 6-1. It was insane. But it's funny at the same time. I'm sorry, but I mean, I don't know how you lose a Game 7. You get absolutely annihilated. You got your asses kicked on home ice. Game 7. So that's how we start off the podcast today. Guys time, Zach Bryce here. We got to talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs. So yes, continuing with this discussion about the Maple Leafs and the Panthers game. Game 7, Sunday night. Panthers won 6-1. And you know what? I don't think they even looked good. I think it was just a matter of Toronto looking absolutely horrible. They were absolute garbage in that game Sunday night. I mean, they didn't shoot the puck. You had so many chances to shoot. You just decided, okay, we're just going to hold the puck. Oh, we're going to wait for that right angle, that opening, that right opportunity. Shoot the damn puck. You have to. It's Game 7. Dude, they're down by 3 goals. They're just casually, skating around with the damn puck. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Dude, shoot the damn puck. You're down by 3 goals. What the hell are you doing? I'm watching this game. I couldn't understand it. I really couldn't understand what the hell the Maple Leafs were trying to do. But yeah, it was awful. I mean, dude, the internet exploded. I mean, I see all the memes. I see all these photos. I see the videos, the comments. It's brutal out there in social media. So Toronto Maple Leafs fans, maybe stay off your phone for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, because Toronto, Canada, hockey, that's their sport. Just stay off your phone for a while because it's going to be brutal from this point forward. I mean, it's horrible. It's god awful. I mean, you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. I can't feel sorry for you. I'm sorry. This is pathetic. It's a pathetic franchise. An original 16, this bad for so many years. I don't know. So you have that going on. So the Panthers win 6-1. They advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. They actually play tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes. That's going to be a very good series, in my opinion. You got the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers, going up against the Carolina Hurricanes team that likes to shoot the puck, and they actually score goals as a result. Oh, what a concept, right? But this is a very tough team in Carolina, so I'm actually very excited about this series. So you have this going on. But Florida, they reached the Eastern Conference Finals for the 3rd straight year. 3 straight years. Florida Panthers are unbelievable. So you have that going on. Like I said, they're playing the Hurricanes tonight. 8 o'clock TNT in Carolina. So Florida's on the road, so that'll be interesting. Brad Marchand, longtime Boston Bruin. He got traded in the middle of the season to Florida. Great move, by the way, right? He's in the Eastern Conference Finals, one step closer to the Stanley Cup Finals. 13th, he competed in his 13th Game 7 Sunday night, which is the most among the active players. So good for him. Out of those 13 games, 5 have been against Toronto, and he's undefeated, 5-0 against Toronto in Game 7s. I mean, if you want to say Game 7s are Toronto's Achilles heel, maybe Brad Marchand is Toronto's Achilles heel as well. That's unbelievable. That's a great stat. So you have that going on. The Maple Leafs, they only have 2 series wins out of 11 tries during the Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner era. And these are great players. 2 of the best players, in my opinion, in the NHL. I mean, they're good players. I mean, you got Connor McDavid, you got Leon Draisaitl, Nathan MacKinnon, all these other guys, right? But Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, great. But it just seems like in the playoffs, they just lay an egg. They crap the bed. They don't show up. Especially in that Game 7. Where the hell was Austin Matthews? Where was Mitch Marner? Where was John Tavares? All these guys, William Nylander. Where was everybody? Where was all the star players that Toronto has had for many years now? But 2 series wins out of 11 tries during the Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner era, it's unacceptable. I mean, what the hell is Toronto doing as a franchise? What are they doing when Game 7 comes around? They just hear Game 7 and they get tensed up. They're like, oh no, another game 7. Oh my God, bro. Dude, you on home ice too. You had to show up, and they didn't. Dude, I was on my phone. That's how bored I was. It was a horrible game. I didn't appreciate it at all. So, 2 series wins, all time out of 11 tries during the Matthews-Marner era. Absolutely god awful. Mitch Marner, he's gone. Detroit should try to pick him up, in my opinion. I don't know how everyone feels about that, but it's a fresh start for him, and he can work with DeBrincat, Lucas Raymond, Marco Casper, who did really well this year. I don't know. Steve Eisman, like I said earlier, he's got to do something. We'll see what happens. So you have that. Like I said, Mitch Marner, unrestricted free agent, July 1st. Red Wings should take advantage of that opportunity. The shots on this game, 34-20 in favor of Florida. Yeah, and you wonder why they won 6-1. You wonder why they were getting goals. Because they were shooting the damn puck like you're supposed to in this game. I don't know. It's weird. And Joseph Woll. I mean, you can blame so much on this guy. This guy can only do so much, right? He allowed 5 goals on 33 shots, 28 saves, 84, almost an 85 percentage save percentage for him. Not the greatest. I mean, it was just a tough night for him. It was a tough night for the Maple Leafs, but they had to know what's going on. Like, dude, it's a game 7 on home ice. You had to show up. You had to do nothing. You had to do something. After the first period, it was scoreless. And then in the second period, at most, you were down at 3-0 at one point. Where the hell was everybody? Like, everyone just decided to just take a nap, have a drink of coffee, have a slice of pizza, and then finally come and play hockey? I don't know. It was weird. So, Toronto. So, this series, pretty entertaining for the most part, right? They had a 2-0 lead early in the series against the Florida Panthers. 2-0. They were up 2-0 against the defending Stanley Cup champions. And then they were up 3-1 at one point in Game 3. They ended up losing that game 5-4 in overtime. And maybe that was the turning point of this series, right? You're up 3-1. That's a decent lead. I mean, 2 goals. I mean, I like 3 goals or more, just knowing how the game is nowadays. But 3-1 in Game 3, late in that game, dude, that was opportunity to shine. That was opportunity to go up 3-0 in this series. But you end up forcing overtime, and you lose in overtime against the Florida Panthers, 5-4. And yeah, Game 3 might have been the turning point of this series, because then Florida went on to win games, that game, Game 3, and then they went on to win the next 2, Game 4 and Game 5. And then Toronto wins Game 6, 2-0, Friday night. Florida couldn't do anything Friday night. But then Sunday comes around, home ice for Toronto, and they couldn't do anything. And they got absolutely annihilated. They got embarrassed on home ice, 6-1. So, yeah, the Toronto, I don't know what you're going to have to do. That franchise, it's embarrassing. Like, if I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan today, I'm sick to my stomach. I'm embarrassed. Because, like I said, Mike Valente and Rico, they mentioned it yesterday on 97.1 The Ticket right here in Detroit, Michigan. What would you rather be? What situation would you rather be in? Not making it to the playoffs, being a bad team, or making it to the playoffs, losing Game 7s over and over and over and over again. I would rather just be the bad team not making it to the playoffs, because losing a Game 7 once again at home, that's heartbreaking. That is absolutely heartbreaking. That's disgraceful. It's unacceptable. I mean, Toronto, what the hell? What the hell happened, dude? What the hell were you guys doing? All right, I'm watching this game. I wanted to gouge my eyes out. I really did. So, yeah, like I said, Toronto fails to make it to the conference finals once again. So that streak continues. Last time they made it to the conference finals, 2002. You already know. I mentioned all the things that happened pop culture wise that year, 23 years ago. But yeah, Kelly Clarkson winning the first American Idol. Yeah, that's a damn near long time, because that show's been on for years now. So Toronto, I don't know. I don't know what you do as a franchise, but Mitch Marner, he's gone. There's no way he's coming back to Toronto. I would be very surprised if he comes back to Toronto. He's available July 1st. Red Wings, pick his ass up or at least talk to the guy, right? We need somebody because, not making it to the playoffs 9 straight years, something's got to change. Steve Eisman has to do something. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, another disappointing loss for the Toronto Maple Leafs. If you're a fan, I can't feel sorry for you. I'm sorry. I mean, that was god-awful Sunday night. So, Toronto, gone. Bye-bye. See you later. Have fun watching on the couch. Florida Panthers, they take on the Hurricanes tonight, 8 o'clock TNT. Eastern Conference Finals, Game 1. I got the Carolina Hurricanes winning Game 1 on home ice. So, you got that going on. Play some bets for that. But now we got to go on the other side, the Western Conference Finals. It's official. We got the Edmonton Oilers going up against the Dallas Stars. So, Western Conference Finals, tomorrow night, 8 p.m., ESPN in Dallas. So that's going to be a very interesting one. So how did both teams get here? Dallas beat the Jets, the President's Trophy winner. I said it numerous times on the podcast. President's Trophy winners, usually they're cursed because they get eliminated early on in the playoffs. Second round, the Jets are gone. So Dallas moves on. They beat the Jets in 6 games. Mark Schieffel, you already know the story with that. His dad passed away hours before Game 6 this past weekend. He ends up scoring the first goal of the game. I mean, you can't make that up, man. That's unbelievable. I mean, can you believe that? He scores the first goal of the game hours before after his dad just passed away. That's crazy. Hours before the game, his dad passed away, and then a couple hours later, Mark Schieffel scores the first goal of the game. That's awesome. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough. That was the only goal they scored. And they ended up losing 2-1 against the Dallas Stars. But man, very emotional. And I saw the handshake lines. They do the handshake line, which I appreciate. I love the sportsmanship there. I love how hockey does that. But a lot of the Dallas Stars players were giving them hugs, pat on the back. I mean, that's awesome to see. And then obviously his teammates embracing him. Tough day for not only him and his family, but, for the Winnipeg Jets. Another team who hasn't been to the conference finals. Another team who always, this was their year. You're the President's Trophy winner. You had the best record. You had the most points in the regular season, and you lose in the second round to a tough Dallas Stars teams. And I think that's a team that gets overlooked a lot because Dallas, you think of Dallas, not really a hockey state, or Texas, you don't think of hockey that much. Dallas, Texas, it's football, baseball, perhaps. Not so much hockey, but this Dallas Stars team is legit. So they're moving on to the Western Conference Finals. They got the Edmonton Oilers Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Check that one out. That's going to be a good one. But that's how the Dallas Stars made it. They beat the President's Trophy winner, the Winnipeg Jets. The Edmonton Oilers beat the Golden Knights, the Vegas Golden Knights, 1-0 in Game 5 in overtime. So pretty boring game, right? And I've said a couple times here on the podcast, a lot of these games this year in the Stanley Cup playoffs haven't been really exciting. I don't know if it's just because, the Detroit Red Wings are in it. I don't know. And it's just, attendance or viewership's down. I forgot the percentage. I saw it a few weeks ago, but I'll have to look into that. But yeah, viewership's down. You have the NBA playoffs on at the same time. People are watching baseball as well. I don't know why. But yeah, just the games are not exciting. And like I said, having a team like the Detroit Red Wings, who before this abysmal, god-awful 9 straight playoff drought, they went to the playoffs 25 straight years. Like I said, we've been spoiled. I've been spoiled my entire life watching the Red Wings make it to the playoffs 25 straight years. And now they're on the 9-year skid, not making it to the playoffs. Maybe that's why viewership's down, because you have to have a team like the Red Wings in. An original 6 team, lots of history there. Gordie Howe, one of the greatest hockey players of all time, probably the greatest hockey player. That's obviously debatable. A lot of people are going to say he's the greatest, maybe Wayne Gretzky, whatever. But having a team like the Detroit Red Wings in the playoffs, it feels right. Am I the only one who thinks that? Like the Detroit Red Wings being in the playoffs, you know that it's the official Stanley Cup playoffs when the Detroit Red Wings are in. But now 9 straight years they miss it. It's embarrassing. So I don't know, but Oilers beat the Golden Knights 1-0, Game 5 in overtime. They outshot the Vegas Golden Knights 16 in terms of goals rather, the Oilers outshot the Vegas Golden Knights 16-10. 2 shutouts as a result in games 4 and 5. So Vegas did not show up in those games. They did not score goals. And, in the playoffs, you can't score goals, you're in trouble. But yeah, 2 shutout games for the Edmonton Oilers. They looked dominant this entire series against Vegas. I mean, Vegas really had no chance. I mean, Edmonton was just peppering them, beating the crap out of them every single game that series. And then, yes, obviously the 2 shutouts in games 4 and 5. I mean, the writing was kind of on the wall, right, for Edmonton. And then, as a result, we could possibly have another finals rematch, a Stanley Cup finals rematch between the Florida Panthers, if they beat the Carolina Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference Finals, and versus the Edmonton Oilers, if they beat the Dallas Stars in the Western Conference Finals. And it'll be the first time that we have a Stanley Cup Finals with the same 2 teams back-to-back years. It'll be the first since the Red Wings and the Penguins did it back in 2008 and 2009. So damn near 17 years, 16 years since the last time you had 2 of the same teams making it and competing in the Stanley Cup Finals. So Red Wings winning in 2008. Obviously, the Pittsburgh Penguins won it in 2009. That still hurts me because that's a series. That's a Stanley Cup we should have won in 2009. We should have won it in 2008, 2009. But nope, the Penguins won it in 2009. We won it in 2008. But so that's going on as well. So we could possibly see Florida Panthers versus Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup Finals once again from last year's matchup. And remember what happened there. Florida was up 3-0. They're going to sweep the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton forced a Game 7. But Florida survived and became the Stanley Cup champions. That was a crazy series. Probably one of the best Stanley Cup Finals I ever watched. But they could go at it again. But the Oilers have to get past the Dallas Stars, and the Florida Panthers have to get past the Carolina Hurricanes. It's not going to be easy for either teams, but it's going to be very interesting. So, Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes on tonight, TNT, 8 p.m. Place your bets. Tomorrow night, Dallas Stars, Edmonton Oilers, Wednesday, 8 p.m. On ESPN. Place your bets. 2 good games. Started off with 16 teams. We're down to 4 now. So we're ready to roll. We're that much closer to the Stanley Cup Finals. So we got that going on. That's the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Toronto Maple Leafs. Oh, God. Man, I can't feel bad for that franchise anymore. I can't feel bad for the fans, for those people. I really can't. But, yeah, you have that going on. Just, yeah, if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, just stay off your phone. Stay off social media for like a month. If you want to keep your sanity, right? Just because it's brutal already. All these memes, all these videos, photos, like I mentioned earlier. It's brutal out there. The internet's a brutal place. It's a horrible place. But for Toronto, I mean, just don't do it. Just stay off the internet for a while. So that's the Stanley Cup playoffs. We got the Eastern Conference Finals, the Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals on tonight. Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes. That's going to be a good one. Now we got jump to the NFL. I know, crazy, right? I mean, dude, it's going to be here before we know it. Fantasy football, Detroit Lions football. First game of the season between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. An iconic rivalry. Ooh, yay. Great. Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm sure it's going to break a bunch of records, but to start off the season, I mean, how many times have we seen this? I mean, come on. I mean, I get it. Philadelphia won the Super Bowl. I get it. They dominated the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs looked absolutely horrible. They looked like absolute garbage in the Super Bowl. But that's how the season opens this year. You got Dallas versus Philly at home, Super Bowl champions, Thursday, September 4th, 8:20 on NBC and Peacock. So check that one out. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be here before we know it. Adam Schefter, according to him, since 2004. So 21 years. There's been 20 defending Super Bowl champions that played in the first game of the season. Those teams have gone 15-5. 15 wins, 5 losses in that span. And then it includes the Chiefs beating the Ravens in last season's opener 27-20 because obviously the Chiefs won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago against the San Francisco 49ers. So I'm taking the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously, because Dallas, I can't trust that team with Dak Prescott being the quarterback. I'm sorry. I can't. I mean, they will find a way. They will find a way to screw it up. I mean, just give it some time. Just like Stephen A. said. Just give it some time. They will find a way to screw it up. And to open up the season, Philly's going to come out, guns blazing. People are going to say, oh, they might be distracted because they're going to do the banner thing with the Super Bowl banners and all these ceremonies and festivities before the game and during the game, during halftime, whatever. Dude, Philadelphia is a legit team. I mean, you got Saquon Barkley, probably the best running back in the NFL. Ran for over 2,000 yards last season. Didn't break the record, obviously, but, I mean, he's a beast, man. He is an absolute beast. And the Philadelphia Eagles, they're not going anywhere. I mean, I think they're just going to keep building. And, they just signed Nick Sirianni to an extension. So he's not going anywhere either. So, Philly, Dallas. That's how the 2025 NFL season opens. Thursday, September 4th. Get your bets ready. Get your lineups ready. It's going to be here before we know it, guys. You know how the NFL is. It's going to be here. It's going to be fall. We're going to be freezing our asses off. We're going to be watching football on Sundays. And Thursdays and Mondays. Whatever. Any day of the week, but obviously Sunday's the main day. But it'll be here before we know it. So we got that going on. But now we got to talk about the Lions schedule. So I'm looking at the schedule right now, and I looked at it a couple times, and I'll give you my prediction how the Lions will do this year. How I think the Lions will do this year. But they opened the schedule on the road against Green Bay. So Lambeau Field to start off the season, 4:25 on CBS. Very interesting because obviously the Lions, I'm used to watching them on Fox, but they're going to broadcast on CBS. Cool, nationally televised channel. That's cool with me. But yeah, you open up your season against Green Bay on the road, 4:25, and that's how the Lions season starts. So they shut out Green Bay last season, so that was good for us. I mean, about time that happened. But then you got 2 Monday Night Football games the Detroit Lions have. Week 3 at Baltimore. That's gonna be a brutal game because it just seems like the Lions cannot win in Baltimore. Under John Harbaugh, he's 4-0 against the Lions. He's undefeated. You can't touch him. The Lions cannot touch this guy. He's invincible. The Lions, that's their Achilles heel, it seems like, versus John Harbaugh and his Baltimore Ravens team. He's 4-0 against the Lions, 5-1 all-time in this series between Baltimore and Detroit. So we just cannot beat these guys, whether it's at home or on the road. We can't beat the Baltimore Ravens. It sucks. Goff, all-time record in outdoor games because Baltimore plays outdoors, obviously. 37 wins, 28 losses, 1 tie. Yeah, that could be Achilles heel as well for him. Playing outside, it's cold, right? Whatever. But yeah, you got a lot of these outdoor games. You got Green Bay, you got Chicago, right? Kansas City's outdoors, Cincinnati. That's going to be a tough game as well. Week 5, October 5th. That might be a tough game. So a lot more outdoor games because last year I think only had 2 or 3 outdoor games. It wasn't too bad for the Detroit Lions. But looking at the schedule, man, and I said it before, it's brutal. It's brutal on paper, right? So Baltimore Week 3, Monday Night Football in Baltimore. That's going to be a tough one. Week 7 at home versus the Bucs. So the Bucs, it seems like we see these guys. We've been seeing this team a couple years now. We beat them in the divisional round of the playoffs a couple years ago during the 2023 season. A season that we should have went to the Super Bowl, and we probably could have won the damn thing. But then the NFC Championship game happened. Lions, 49ers, 24-7. We don't need to talk about that because we stressed it enough here on the podcast. I don't need to describe anymore. All I got to say, it was heartbreaking. But we don't need to talk about it. Done and over with. We're moving on. 2025. We're kicking some ass, right? So, yeah, and then we lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as you guys remember, at home last season, week 2, 20-16. That was just a god-awful game. We couldn't do anything. Couldn't stop anything on defense. Offense, we couldn't drive the ball down the field. We couldn't score any points. Yeah, it was just not a good look for the Detroit Lions, that week 2 matchup last year. But, we did good. Like I said, we got the number 1 seed, and, yeah, we got beat. And we got beat by a rookie quarterback in Jane Daniels in the divisional round of the playoffs against the Washington Commanders last season. Yeah, that was great. But anyway, no, like I said, we're not worried about that. So you have that game. And then you have the Sunday night game at Kansas City, week 6. And you guys remember, we beat Kansas City, first game of the 2023 season, 21-20. That was a hell of a game. What a great way to start off the season, right? And then we play Thanksgiving, obviously, hosting Thanksgiving against the Green Bay Packers. But we're also playing on Christmas. So back-to-back holidays for the Detroit Lions this season. Thanksgiving and Christmas. We got Minnesota on Christmas. Netflix, 4:30 p.m. So that'll be a very interesting game. And I do believe that's an away game for the Detroit Lions. Yes, it is. They're playing in Minnesota on Christmas, 4:30, Netflix. That'll be very interesting. So I'm looking at this schedule. A lot tough teams. We got to play Philadelphia on the road as well. Washington on the road. And I mentioned Baltimore in week 3, that Monday Night Football game. That's going to be brutal. Tampa Bay at home. That's another Monday Night Football game. Week 7. The Brides actually might have to try to get some tickets for that. It's going to be expensive, I know, but just the experience, right? Monday Night Football, Detroit, playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team we've been playing against for a few years now, kind of developing a rivalry a little bit, if you want to say. So you have that. Week 8 is our bye week. So, last year it was week 5. So a little later this year. I wish it was a little later, maybe week 12, week 13 maybe. But week 8 is our bye week. Like I said, we got road games against Washington, Philly, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Kansas City. I mean, that's tough. Los Angeles Rams. I mean, damn. And, and then obviously our divisional rivalries. We got to go to Green Bay. We got to go to Minnesota Christmas. We got to go to Chicago. It seems like the last game of the year. It's a flex game, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully the Lions will be good at that point. But looking at this schedule, the Bryce is going to make his prediction of how the Lions are going to do. 17 games. I got them winning 10 of those 17 games. So 10-7 is my prediction for how the Lions are going to do. And you know what? I would rather have the Lions be a wild card team this year if it's possible. Because obviously the number 1 seed having the bye week didn't really help us out, because the following week, the divisional round, Washington comes to Detroit and we get absolutely embarrassed on national television by a rookie quarterback. Jaden Daniels kicked our ass on national television. But, I mean, when you try to have wide receivers throw the ball when we're down by 10 points late in the third quarter, I mean, what the hell was Ben Johnson thinking? You know what I'm saying? That game was awful. So, if I'm the Lions, I would take that wild card spot. 10-7, I think that's reasonable looking at the schedule. I mean, yes, it's tough on paper. Yes, it looks brutal on paper. But Lions, man, they got a good thing going. I thought they did okay in the draft. Like I said, B. That was my official grade, I do believe. Yeah, I think it was B or B+. Whatever. But Brad Holmes knows what he's doing. A couple years ago, he drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, all in the same draft. That kind of worked out for us. Sam Laporta, that kind of worked out for us, right? So let Brad Holmes cook. And Brad we trust, and Holmes we trust. Dan Campbell, let him do his thing. I get it. A couple years ago, we should have went to the Super Bowl. I know. And I'll say it again, even predicting the 10-7 record for the Detroit Lions. 10 wins for our beloved Lions. But that Super Bowl window, it's shrinking a little bit for the Detroit Lions. This year or next year. After that, I don't know. It could get really messy. It could get really scary for the Detroit Lions franchise. But that's my prediction. looking at the schedule, Detroit Lions 10-7, 17 games. They're going to win 10 of them. Go Lions. Handle our business, boys. We need you this year. We absolutely need you to dominate this year. So that's my prediction for the Lions. That's NFL football. It opens up September 4th between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions. Thursday Night Football, NBC 8:20 on NBC and Peacock. Classic rivalry to open up the 2025 season of the NFL. So now we got to hop over to these Detroit Tigers. So they're doing really good. I mean, last night, that was an off night. You had weather delay, sunny gray, just striking out everybody. No one could hit a damn ball. No one could hit a damn fly. That's how bad we were last night. But off night for the Detroit Tigers. But besides that, we're looking pretty good. First place in the AL Central, best record in MLB right now. They took 2 out of 3 this past weekend against the Toronto Blue Jays. They won Sunday 3-2. Jackson Jobe, he's undefeated 4-0 on the season. They opened up the 3-game series, as I mentioned, against the St. Louis Cardinals. Not the greatest night for the Detroit Tigers. The Blue Jays are third place in the AL East. And as I mentioned, the Detroit Tigers, they're first place in the AL Central. 5 games above Minnesota. They won 14 in a row. I mean, they won 14 games in a row. Coming into Sunday, and they finally lost to the Milwaukee Brewers 5-2. But dude, Minnesota, and they started off horrible this year. I mean, they were god awful. All of a sudden, they just piling up these wins like it was nothing. 14 straight for the Minnesota Twins before losing to the Milwaukee Brewers Sunday. But yeah, they're right behind us, man. And they're a dangerous team. I mean, you win that many games this early in the season. Yeah, they're a force to be reckoned with. I get it. A lot of baseball to play. We got a long season ahead of us. But Minnesota, watch out for those guys. So, yeah, that going on. Tigers 17-5 at home. They're 14-12 now on the road, obviously losing last night. The Cardinals come into this series against the Tigers. They won 2 out of 3 against the Kansas City Royals. We actually play them at the end of the month. So that'll be a very, very interesting series. We got the Cleveland Indians, or not Cleveland Indians, excuse me. Yeah, I don't want to get canceled here. The Cleveland Guardians, rather. 4-game series there starting Thursday, I do believe, with them. But yeah, Cardinals winning 2 out of 3 against the Kansas City Royals. Sean Gunther, this was a weird situation. I'm watching this game yesterday, and he only had like 8 pitches before A.J. Hinch pulled him out. And then Montero went in. And, yeah, he didn't do too good. He allowed 8 hits, 5 earned runs. He only had 3 strikeouts. Yeah, it was a weird situation for the Tigers. Then you had the rain delay, like a 20-minute rain delay, half-hour rain delay. We were down 6-0 at that point. It was the bottom of the 7th. But the Tigers ended up losing that game, 11-4. So the bats didn't come alive. Our pitching was horrible. Just an off night for the Detroit Tigers. Hopefully they win tonight, 7:45 p.m. on FanDuel Sports Detroit, wherever you watch your Tigers baseball. But they got to win tonight. I mean, they got bounced back from that crappy performance last night. But yeah, they lose 11-4. Sonny Gray for the Cardinals. He played for the Yankees a couple years ago. 6 innings pitched, only allowed 3 hits, 10 strikeouts for Sonny Gray. Like I said, none of the Tigers, we couldn't hit off this guy. Like I said, we couldn't hit a damn fly to save our lives. We got absolutely dominated last night. So we got to come back. We got to win tonight. We got Tarek Skubal on the mound. So hopefully he handles his business. He's our ace. So I like our chances. He's been doing really good for us so far this season. He's got a 4-2 record. Won the AL Cy Young Award last year. So hopefully he can get us that victory tonight. So yeah, 7:45 p.m. St. Louis, Detroit Tigers. Watch that one. But yeah, some of our hitters, man, star hitters. Kerry Carpenter went 0 for 4 last night. Gleyber Torres, former Yankee, 0 for 3. Colt Keith, 0 for 4. You got to get him going too. So hopefully it's a better night for the Detroit Tigers. Get those bats going. Hopefully our pitching's great. Like I said, I like our chances with Tarek Skubal on the mound. We'll see what happens. But yeah, just an off night for our boys from the Detroit Tigers. So you got that going on. Baseball on tonight. You got the Stanley Cup playoffs on tonight. Watch those two. It's going to be a good one. But we end today's episode of Guys Time talking about Sam Marinelli. She made her pro boxing debut this past Saturday night. Detroit, Michigan, Motor City Casino at the Soundboard Theater. She's victorious. Nothing new, right? Coming out of New Way Training Center. She won. Victorious. She did absolutely phenomenal. A great performance by Sam Marinelli. Won by a second-round TKO. Her opponent won none of Sam Marinelli. She looked great. 1-0 on her pro career. We're going to see a lot more of her coming up in the next couple months. Hopefully, we'll get another fight soon with her. But yeah, Sam Marinelli, congratulations. I know I mentioned her numerous times on the podcast. I've been trying to promote her, doing my best, right? Got to do my part. And I think it worked. You know, whatever. You got to love social media, right? But another victory coming out of New Way Training Center. Another professional boxer joins an elite group of pro boxers coming out of that gym. Savannah Tini, Anthony Papillo, Kamel Macklin, and now Sam Marinelli joined that group of great pro boxers. But yeah, 1-0. Great night of boxing. I mean, not only that fight. I mean, that fight was great. She looked absolutely phenomenal. But there was a lot of the fights on this card that it was pretty exciting. It was really a good night for fights. A lot of good fights. Yeah, it was great to see. You know, the Soundboard, they know what they're doing over there. That's a great venue for sporting events, especially boxing. But yeah, I think they do mixed martial arts over there as well, or down there, I should say, in Detroit. But yeah, Sam Marinelli, congratulations. I mean, you looked absolutely phenomenal. So we'll see more of her for sure. I'll try to get an interview with her. I got to interview a lot of these people. You know, I know Kamel's my boy, but I got to start interviewing like Savannah and, you know, maybe Anthony Papillo, get him here, or, you know, definitely Sam Marinelli. Try and interview a lot of these people from New Way. So Sam Marinelli, victorious, 1-0 on her pro boxing career, second round TKO. She looked absolutely phenomenal. Great night for boxing in Detroit, Michigan. So now she got done with her fight. Now we got Savannah Tini, her fifth fight coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, June 3rd. She's going back to Nashville, Tennessee. Country Box. That's the promotion that's putting on this fight. Savannah Tini fighting June 3rd, as I mentioned. Nashville, Tennessee, Country Box. And Savannah is 4-0 on her pro boxing career. She's going up against Simone. Simone Aparecida. Yeah, Aparecida da Silva. That's her opponent. So Savannah Tini going up against Simone Aparecida da Silva. That's her opponent. That's going to be a very interesting fight. Exactly 2 weeks away. So Savannah Tini, I know she's going to do a lot of socials. She's going to post a lot. So check her out. She's on Instagram. She's on Facebook. But yeah, she has her fifth pro fight coming up in 2 weeks from today. June 3rd, back in Nashville, Tennessee, Country Box Promotion. She's going up against Simone Aparecida da Silva, putting her 4-0 boxing record on the line. Savannah Tini is going to handle her business. She looked great in her last fight back in April, so a couple months, almost 2 months ago. So this is going to be a very good fight, very interesting fight for Savannah Tini, but putting her 4-0 record on the line against Simone Aparecida da Silva. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait for it. I'm sure, she's going to have the links to that fight. It's going to be on YouTube, I'm assuming. That's where I watched it last time. So hopefully the announcers get her first name right. I mean, that bothered me last time. But yeah, Savannah Tini back in action 2 weeks from today, June 3rd, Country Box Promotions, Nashville, Tennessee, going up against Simone Aparecida da Silva. That's going to be a very interesting fight. Savannah Tini going to handle her business there. So that's it. That's the podcast today. So thank you for joining me. As always, you guys are amazing. Thank you again. You already know the drill. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Check this episode out. It's Tuesday, so enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy the day. watch some Tigers baseball tonight. Watch some Stanley Cup playoffs. We got the Eastern Conference Finals on tonight between the Florida Panthers, the defending Stanley Cup champions, going up against the Carolina Hurricanes. They're looking to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, first time since 2006. And obviously, you guys know they ended up winning the Stanley Cup that year. But that's going to be a good game. So watch that tonight. You got baseball, boxing coming up. You got some UFC events coming up as well. We'll talk about that in the next episode next week. Sam Marinelli winning her first pro boxing fight this past weekend. 1-0 on her career. She looked absolutely phenomenal, so congrats to her. And then Savannah Tini, fifth pro fight, 2 weeks from today, June 3rd. Country Box Promotions, check it out. She has a very interesting opponent. She's going up against Simone Aparecida da Silva. That's going to be interesting. But Savannah Tini, 4-0, come into this fight. She's going to handle her business. So go, Savannah. You're going to do great things. You're going to handle your business. It's going to be a great fight. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. So check that out. Be on the lookout for that as well. And then enjoy the rest of the day, ladies and gentlemen. All right, peace out, guys. The prize is out. You guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks again. You guys are awesome.